immediately. It's not like a screen where I just took my phone into my local store and I got a new screen and all of a sudden it just lights up and it's just awesome and you fix my problem. It's not like a battery where if I'm totally dead in the water, I go and get a new battery and all of a sudden, my kid's happy again because he has his phone. And there's a case, my wife buys these Griffin technology cases where you stick the phone in there. It's like burying something in concrete. It's like, is the phone really still in there? You can't even see it. But you have a case and it protects your phone and it's an immediate protection. Well, a plan, how many people sell plans in their stores, whether they're underwritten or not, just insurance, plans? Okay, you've got a few experimenters. But those are different, aren't they? It's a service. You can't really, unless you have a brochure, there's nothing that you can kind of pull out. It's not tangible. It's something you can't touch. So we're going to talk a little bit about plans today, about intangible and service selling. So guys, thank you very much for your help. Like I said, I'm Rob. I'm from OnPoint Warranty. And if you talk to anybody in the warranty industry, whether they're servicing mobile devices or appliances or HVAC equipment, they never say, I woke up one day and I decided that I wanted to be in the warranty industry. I haven't found one yet, and I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. Other people, you come through a side door, you come through a back door. I started my career in consumer packaged goods marketing, and I was a database marketer. I'm a data geek. I love to look at data and figure out what customers are doing by looking at how they behave with data. So I got into warranties that way. My first warranty job was with GE, and they said, hey, we want you to do some consumer marketing, but it's for our warranty product. I said, what's one of those, right? So I ran the warranty program for GE appliances for a number of years, where we were selling protection plans to GE customers who bought warranties. Found it to be really interesting because people would respond to the offer, and we could tell a lot about who those people were, whether it was a HotPoint brand or whether it was a GE profile. And then I had a chance when Sears was a viable retailer, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I had a chance to go and run the warranty program for Sears, where we were selling protection plans and maintenance agreements on everything under the sun that Sears sold, whether it was a riding lawnmower or whether it was a computer or whatever the case was, and learned a little bit more about how consumers buy warranties, not only from looking at the data, but riding with the technicians. That's something that we had to do each quarter, is we had to get in the truck with the Sears technician and ride around and go to people's houses. And that was fascinating. I was riding with the guy in Chicago and he said, see that house? Mafia. Doesn't look like it, does it? That's mafia. See that house over there? Don't go in that house. See that street over there? I don't go south of that street. This guy had been repairing appliances for 20, 25 years. Real interesting from the technician's perspective. Going into somebody's house, he said, here, hold the screwdriver while I get this. And you're looking around and you're wondering if the dog's going to bite you, and you're fixing the thing. So I had that experience looking at protection plans from the technician standpoint, going into people's houses, looking at data. I had a chance to run a protection plan program for Harbor Freight. How many guys have been to a Harbor Freight store? All right, how many women have been to a Harbor Freight store? Only for your husband, right? So there's only guys in the Harbor Freight store. And you ask a woman about Sephora, how many women have been in a Sephora store? Sure enough, yeah. Harbor Freight is the Sephora for men. We go in there to buy tools. We take our coupons. So I had a chance to run the protection plan program for Harbor Freight. So this is where it gets into kind of what's going on today, right? You're going, where's this guy going with this stuff? Harbor Freight, what's really interesting is Harbor Freight is a fast growth retail chain. You walk into the stores, it's great for guys. It smells like motor oil. And it has linoleum on the floor and tools everywhere. It's great. But if you look at the sales from store 1 to store 600, the sales are all over the place. Maybe the store's been there for a while, maybe it's new, but they end up kind of like normalizing after they've been there for a while. There's a certain kind of level that a store will hit if it's an A store or a B store. Kind of predictable, right? Oh, this is another Harbor Freight A store, and sure enough, it's settled at $2 million a month, between 2 and 3 or something like that. But then you look at all 600 stores and you look at their protection plan sales. They're literally all over the place. You have some stores that may sell protection plans at 5% of their gross revenues. That's pretty good how we used to measure it. You look at another store, it's literally 5 miles down the road, it's a B store, and they're selling 0.5% of sales with protection plans. Same products in the store, same layout, same store size, same community. What's the difference? And these protection plan percent of sales, which is how they measured them, would go anywhere from 5 or 6% all the way down to maybe 1/4%. And so we would sort them around and try to train, and you could move those percentages a little bit. At Harbor Freight, part of my job was to try to get all the stores up to maybe a minimum of 1% of gross sales. But it wasn't always happening. But here's this other guy that was blowing it out of the water. So I thought, I went to all the district managers, because Harbor, for 600 stores, you have to have regional managers and district managers to manage all this stuff. And I said, give me 5 of your best protection plan sales store managers, and I want to talk to them, in each region. And I want 5 of the guys who just haven't, and guys, it's women too, of the guys that just consistently have not sold those protection plans. I want to find out what is the difference. I can't figure it out. We would put training out there, the whole thing. We tried everything. And at the end of the day, can you guess what was the difference of a store, same store, next to the other store, B store, A store, AA, whatever the case was, what was the main reason why those stores were not selling the protection plans? Or flip the question around. Why were some stores blowing it out of the water and others weren't? Any ideas? Oops. Sorry, sir?
They were asking the customers whether they wanted.
Okay, asking. Other ideas? Belief. What do you mean by that?
Whether the person who was selling it knew the benefit to the client.
Okay, ask, belief. Any other thoughts?
Perceived value.
Perceived value? So maybe what do you mean by perceived value?
I've seen scenarios where they actually had the contract price too low and the customer didn't see that to be a value.
Okay, so maybe the pricing. Well, these are all factors, and we'll talk about this in a second. The main driver for a store either performing well or not performing well with respect to protection plans was what the store manager thought about the program. It's whether they believed in the program, whether the store manager believed in it. And what's that old saying is that the characteristics of the kingdom come from the characteristics of the king. Anybody ever heard that? And what was happening in the best stores is that the store managers were saying, here's all the stuff that I can sell in my store. I can sell chainsaws and all kinds of cool stuff, and I can sell protection plans, and I'm going to max it all out. And these protection plans, I've seen customers go back in and, wow, I'm so glad I bought this. The drill broke yesterday, and okay, sir, here's a new one, and the customer leaves with a smile on their face. So the customer, the store manager got the value from the customer's perspective, independent of their own belief. And a lot of the store managers who didn't sell the protection plans, they're like, well, I just don't buy stuff. I just don't buy plans on products. Well, some of the customers do, irrespective of what we think. And actually, I want to get into my slides, if I can figure out how to work this thing. There we go. We've talked a little bit about OnPoint. We basically help manufacturers and retailers put protection plan programs together. But let's stop with the story here for a second and talk about how big is this industry. Does anybody have any idea how big the protection plan industry is? And this is protection plans on automobiles, mobile devices, medical equipment, TVs, appliances, whatever you can think that can be protected by a plan. And this is global. Most of it's domestic here, but any idea how big this industry might be? It's 40 billion. It's a $40 billion industry. So that means that there are some folks out there, whether we buy plans personally on things or not, there are a lot of people out there that decide to protect their device, their laptop, their appliance. And a lot of customers will buy if you, sir, what was your comment? If you ask. And there have been studies done that ask a lot of customers, well, gee, you went into Best Buy, you went into Sears, you went into wherever it is, and you bought something. Why didn't you buy a protection plan? Oh, I didn't know about it. Nobody asked me. Okay, that's the first hurdle. So we're going to build on this. To sell protection plans successfully, you have to hang up your hat about whether or not you personally buy them, and to say, yep, some customers are going to want it, I'm going to serve it. And then the second thing is just asking. And if you do those two things, you have a business. What can plans do for your store? We've talked about that a little bit, additional income. And when I say additional repairs, I'm talking about the kind of a program that I call a servicing dealer program, where if you sell the plan, you do the repairs on those plans. They don't go somewhere else. Now, if you have a customer, let's say you're in Oklahoma, your store's in Oklahoma, and your customer's in my hometown of Louisville for the day, and the phone breaks, he needs to do that mail-in. If he doesn't want to wait for a week to get back to the store, but for the 99.9% of the time, those repairs are going to come back to you. That's the kind of program I'm talking about. And then with a protection plan, it's one more thing that a customer could buy from you that could cement that relationship. And how many people, has anybody ever heard of predictive modeling? It's kind of a fancy word for trying to figure out what a customer is going to do, what a customer is going to buy. And we went through this gigantic study at Sears, and we looked at all the Sears customers, and we said, what are the best ones? And what can predict that you would be a better Sears customer or a Harbor Freight customer than maybe you? And really the difference is I just happen to buy more stuff from you over time. It's the depth of my relationship with you, with the store. A protection plan is just like another line of accessories or something else that you can offer. And the more you sell to somebody, the more likely that they're going to come back. It just gives you more opportunities to meet needs. When I say how protection plans work, a lot of them, they work different ways. So I've kind of genericized this a little bit. So bear with me on that. And we're going to go from bottom around to top because I'm left-handed. So sorry about that. But the customer comes into your store and they buy let's say that they buy a 2-year protection plan on the device maybe that you just repaired. Or maybe you sell a line of phones and they buy a protection plan with the phone that they just bought from you. So $120 changes hands. You get $120 into your store. Staying on the bottom, you let the warranty company, whatever warranty company it is, know that you sold a plan for $120. And usually you transmit that data somehow, either through your point of sale system or a little portal that they set up, or somehow they know that you sold it. And then the warranty company will say, oh, you sold a plan. Well, our price to you is, let's say, $60. So the warranty company would bill you for $60. That means you keep 60. And then the customer gets their plan terms and conditions. Usually from the warranty company, it's emailed out. Usually, with this cool little laser light thing over here. This is your summary. So you would collect $120. You would let the warranty company know that you sold one of these. They'll bill you for 60. You keep 60. And if it was one of your associates, you might give them a commission. And then what does the warranty company do with the $60 that they have over here? Is they have 2 reserve accounts. One is to pay for the repairs, actually to pay you for the repairs that will be forthcoming. And then another is just customer service and setting up claims and emailing the terms and conditions and those kinds of things. But that's kind of the money flow for a sale. In terms of how protection plans work when a repair happens, and I'm talking about how it would work for stores like what you guys have. Again, starting from the bottom, because I'm left-handed. The customer comes into your store for a repair. It's protected under the plan. There might be a deductible, maybe, that you collect on behalf of the warranty company, maybe not. And then once that repair is complete, you would basically send the warranty company an invoice for that repair amount, and you would get paid, and then the customer comes and picks up the phone or the tablet. So that, we talked just a little bit about process stuff, but let's go back to, and there's the beach ball. So whenever you see a beach ball, remember that plans are sold differently than products. So I put a little beach ball on any of these pages that talk about how to sell them. And remember, we talked about the big difference with those Harbor Freight stores, those 600 stores, the top stores, plan sales-wise, to the bottom stores, it was all driven by the store manager's belief in the program and hanging up their own belief whether they buy them and realizing that about half of the customers are going to be interested. What is the store manager's role? And whether it's just you or you have 20 employees, it doesn't matter, right? You have to understand what the plan covers. And this is real basic, but there's a little what's covered, what's not covered. And you wouldn't believe the number of store managers who just aren't familiar with some of those details. And it's usually a list of 10 things that's covered and 10 that's not. It's not a lot. And then we'll talk a little bit about care on the next slide, but there's a certain way to sell these plans to the customers who really want them, to service them, and to not bug the ones that don't, which is the key. And then skill practice with associates. If you really care about this line, if you think about a plan as a product line almost, you're going to talk to your associates about the cases that you have. You get a new case in. Hey, here's our new case. Here's how to sell this. Here's the colors that it comes in. This is part of the education process, just like you would with any product. But talk about the plans. And then with this, skill practice with the associates on this care approach that I'm going to talk about. Coach them. If you know how to sell, you can coach them how to sell best. And if you catch them doing something great, just like with any other thing you might do in your store, catch it, praise it, catch it, correct it on the spot. Set some goals. And how many people have goals maybe for certain product lines or certain types of repairs? Okay, some of you have goals, and it's good to have goals. You may not always meet them, but set some numeric goals. And it might be a plan a day a person, maybe, or a plan a week a person, or something that you know that can be attainable. You can always up it later if you think you set it too low. Make it fun. Do something, because these things plans aren't something that you can see and that you can hand somebody. Kind of find maybe streamers or beach balls, kind of make it fun, set up some friendly competition, and then don't go a day without talking about the program with your associates. They're going to pick it up. Okay, this is as important as selling repairs. I get it. Selling plans is important to my boss. I'm going to focus on it and lead by example. If you can show somebody how to sell one using this care approach, they're going to mimic you and pick up on whatever you do. And that's huge training. If you can just do it and have everybody watch, that's almost sometimes all you need to do. When I talk about care, there's that acronym: connect, access, recommend, and encourage. So this is with the customer. The customer just had their phone repaired. This is a great phone, but there could be some other things that happen to it. There could be liquid damage. In this case, you had a screen repair, and maybe there's some liquid issues that might come up. The other way around, your son dropped his phone in the john, you got it immediately. Maybe there's some, the screen repair is the top thing that happens. Maybe that might happen. No matter what happens, if you buy the plan, you're covered with however many other repairs. It's connecting with the customer personally about what the plan could do for them, and talking to them at the point of sale when they're ready to check out, and then recommending a couple of ways, no more than a couple, of how a plan could benefit them. And I think a lot of folks here who run stores, some of your customers pretty well. It's easier to do, other than being in a Sears store where just people come in, or Harbor Freight, all these people you've never seen before, and being able to recommend how a plan could help them because you know a little bit about your customers. And then finding it at the end, encouraging a plan sale just by restating one of those things that you think would be a key benefit to the customer, and then letting them decide, not pushing them. But sir, you hit the nail on the head. If you have a store manager who believes in this program as strongly as any other thing that you're selling in the store, and if you just ask, that's about all it takes to get what you're going to get. And this care selling and mimicking that with your associates can go a long way. Other tools that you could use that most protection plan programs will just supply to you would be brochures and maybe some in-store signage. I had a Harbor Freight store that had no signage whatsoever about the protection plans in their store because the store manager didn't think that their customers would want to buy the plans. So we said to Dave, well, hey, why don't you just put some signs up? Maybe you don't have your associates start asking the customers if they want to buy, but just put some signs up. And he was amazed that customers would say, oh, you sell plans, I'd like to buy one. Nobody was asking anybody. The signage was doing the work. So signage is oftentimes a great thing. And the customers who want plans, they'll see the sign, they'll ask for them themselves. There's some other things you can do like register cards and things, but just letting customers know that you sell plans, that goes a big way. And then how do customers buy plans? Has anybody ever bought, and we can call them protection plans or extended warranties or service contracts or maintenance agreements, but who's ever in your family ever bought one of these protection plans on any item that you've ever bought in your life? Okay, so it's usually about half of the audience, and studies show that about half of the people in the US tend to buy coverage on things, and the other half doesn't, which is fine, but half of your customers, that's a big audience. But customers decide to buy plans when they're asked. Just asking can sometimes make the sale, but how you ask sets the stage. And it's simply just, hey, would you like to buy a protection plan on that phone that I just repaired for you? Sometimes that's all you need to say. And what I mean here by how you ask, you don't have to get aggressive on it. The customers already know whether they buy them or not. Just ask. Ask in a friendly way that's not aggressive, that's not in your face, and let the customer decide. Oftentimes, if it's a new device, customers will, if they have a perception that this device might fail, they might decide to buy it. So for example, I'm working with a 3D printer company right now on selling protection plans on their 3D printers. It's really neat. You can make all kinds of cool stuff on these 3D printers, but most people buy these and they go, how do these things work? How many moving parts? I've never owned one of these things before. So the protection plan sales on this line of 3D printers is really high for this reason. I've never owned one. I have no sense for it, whether this is going to break or not. And then finally, somebody mentioned value. So you did. You're exactly right. If the plan price is too low, it's kind of like, well, why would that be? Or if it's too high. And those, I think Ryan was talking about attach rates. Well, you can talk about attach rates, what percentage of customers buy plans. And at Harbor, we played with the plan pricing. I got my boss to agree for me to mess with the plan pricing. And I did testing all over the country. And sure enough, if the plan price is too high, the attach rate, boom, it hits the dirt really fast. If it goes about 20-25% of the product price past that, any higher than that, nobody buys it. But then if you lower that plan price to maybe 10, 15, 20% of the item, people buy it. But anything, if it's 6% or lower, then the attach rate goes down. So there's like a sweet spot that you got to hit. But most of the time, a program that you guys would buy that's underwritten and bonded that you would resell, they figured that out. But it's always good to give people input, your warranty company input. And then if in the future you ever decide to sell a protection plan program, just a few basic things to remember, especially the kind of program where you would be doing the repairs, because you're going to get more repairs than if you didn't sell, and you don't want the repairs going off-site, right? So you want good margins for yourself. You want to be able to mark the plans up 30, 40, maybe 50%, but it's still affordable for the customer. So that warranty company should be able to supply you with a protection plan that's priced low enough where you can mark it up, it's worth your time, but it's also still a good value for the customer. Excellent customer service. This varies a lot. I've been around this industry for almost 20 years, and I think I know almost all the warranty companies that are out there. Some of the warranty companies do a great job with customer service, and most customers walk away happy when they have to set up a claim or if they have a question. And others, you hear nothing but complaints. So, check this out. This is a key piece for your customer. You want the experience to be good if there happens to be a claim. And the customer has to set the claim up with the warranty company. It has to be authorized before they can come back into you to get that repair done. Fair repair rates. Most of the warranty companies will negotiate flat rates with you. So if you're going to do a screen repair for this warranty company for the plan that you sold, it's always going to be $150 or $125 or whatever it is. These repair rates that you get paid for, make sure that they're fair. And then payment terms. Make sure that the warranty company will promise to pay you once you get the repair done, that hopefully it's like an EFT transmission. You don't have to wait for a check. Make sure that the plan program that you choose has a variety of plan options for all your customers that might come in. Plans for individuals, for families, for businesses, that it works for all your customer segments that come into your store. Even if you serve schools, I'm sure that some of you guys serve schools. Some of these plan options even are for schools. And then finally, coverage terms. That list of stuff that's covered and what's not covered, that needs to be fair and reasonable as well. That's all the content that I had. It's great being with you guys today. Thanks, Michelle, for allowing me to come. And I want to give a hand out to our artist over here who's doing these awesome storyboards. These are awesome. Ma'am, if you could clone yourself, you would be a trillionaire, but those are awesome. Thank you. OnPoint Warranty, we're located in Los Angeles, and that's my contact info if anybody ever wants to talk afterwards. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here last night. My plane didn't get in until 8:30, so, but I'm sorry I missed last night. But any question about protection plans or any experience that you guys might have had or repairs that you might have done? Yes, sir.
We've been doing warranties for years now, and a couple questions. Why are you guys doing like the 1 month sum versus the monthly?
Yeah, that's something that you see in the industry where some programs that you might decide to sell will say, well, gee, the only thing we can do here is, you can sell a 1 or a 2 year plan, but the customer has to pay for that plan up front. And you might see another program that you might want to sell where it's well, no, the customer can pay monthly for this. Some customers really love the monthly plan charge. And let's say, do you sell phones? Do you sell refurb phones or new phones? Yeah. Okay, so are you selling some of these plans on those phones that you sell, or is it just on repaired phones?
A little less.
Okay.
It's more on the repair side.
Okay, so you're selling plans on repaired phones. The answer is some warranty companies, they have underwriters, and some of the underwriters are like banks. They're really conservative, and they'll only underwrite a plan, or they'll only accept the service liability for that plan if that plan is paid for 100% up front, where other underwriters are a little less useful, and they'll say, well, gee, we're a little bit bigger risk takers here, and we'll do that monthly thing. It comes down to the underwriter's risk tolerance. And if you sell plans monthly, some customers will cancel that plan at the 6th month or the 11th month, and that means that you don't end up getting a full year for every plan that you sell. And some warranty companies just don't like to do it. Some customers, though, really like that monthly pay. And if you look at Verizon, AT&T, and all the big carriers, they're all going toward those monthly payment for the plans, for the phones, for everything.
Do you guys cover loss
Some programs do, and there's kind of like a rider that says accidental damage and then loss and theft. Some warranty companies will cover that and others won't, and it comes down to kind of like the behind the scenes underwriter guys and what their risk tolerance is, really. I have several programs, and some of them include that and others don't. So it depends on sometimes what the client wants. Thank you. Any other questions about plans? Yes, sir.
In our industry, how do you, and you think about deductibles, how do you think about that when you're trying to work through the repair industry? Like on pricing that correctly versus, traditional repair is going to cost me $150. Verizon's deductible is $200 for their insurance program. Makes it hard to attach or add value to the customer. So where do you see the sweet spot in deductibles?
And that's the answer to the question, is that there is a sweet spot. And if you have a program, being able to test those deductible levels and figure out where is that sweet spot, and that sweet spot is two things. It's not only the attach rate, but it's the profitability of the program. And if you move those deductibles around and maybe you might have a test with no deductible, but a higher plan cost, and all the way down to a big deductible there's going to be a sweet spot in there where you're maxing out the revenue for the program. So you're winning, the underwriter's winning, the warranty administrator's winning because you're getting more top dollars coming in, but then that attach rate gets optimized too. And there's just a point, it's kind of like a multifactorial, optimization problem, but you can do that with testing and looking at the data. And what's really interesting is that each client of mine that's done that is at a different point where that sweet spot is. So
your programs are flexible enough where we're able to test in store on site during a repair to see what those variances are?
I'm a big believer in testing. It kind of gets back to my database marketing days, with consumer packaged goods. It's all based on how the customer behaves. And if you move stuff like that around here and there, deductibles and price points, you wouldn't believe how crazy the behavior changes. So.
Do you do any? I'll take this off one too. But do you do any crack screen only programs? Did you guys ever do that?
We haven't, but they're out there, and it's just because nobody's ever asked.
Cool.
Thanks. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you do anything international, or is it just the States?
I'm doing 2 global programs, not in this industry, but with a 3D printer manufacturer. They're selling in Europe, and I have to have global coverage for them. And then I'm selling a global program with a totally different industry. It's the RV industry. So, yes, sir. Thank you.
That 1.5, is it annually? Does it expire? What does that get the customer when they pay the 1.5?
Oh, that was just an example number. We were talking about a 2-year plan. So it would be a 2-year extension on and I'm talking about like a brand new device maybe that has that 90-day manufacturer warranty, and it would be 2 years after that, manufacturer defect. Sometimes you'll see those plans that will layer on accidental damage or theft and loss, and sometimes those prices are higher. I was given a 5-minute warning just 4 minutes ago. One more question. Yes, sir.
I know you gave us a price range of 10 to 20% of product's cost, but from experience, or do you have an example of what a great or a good plan for this industry is?
It's all over the board. Harbor Freight sells 5,000 items in their stores, and that sweet spot, that protection plan price on a chainsaw was a different percentage than maybe like a solar glow panel light. But they all ranged within that maybe 10 to 23%, but you almost have to look at each item and figure out where those sweet spots are. And that again is back to the gentleman's question back here about testing, is you really have to test it out and challenge your warranty company to do the testing, because they certainly won't bring it up because it's extra work. But yeah, thank you. So I think I'm